Welcome to Whole Team Eats Podcast, a 24/8 media production. Ever wonder who trains your favorite athlete? Join Tim Miller as he takes a look at the behind-the-scenes training of professional and collegiate athletes. Tim connects with trainers, athletes, and others in the sports community to share their stories. This podcast is dedicated to highlighting the work of athletes and trainers to inspire action and build community.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to an all-new episode of Whole Team Eats Podcast. This is Season 4, Episode 1. I'm your host, Tim Miller, and on the show, I sit down with Philadelphia Eagles defensive end Brandon Graham. Growing up outside Detroit, Brandon saw football as a way to receive a scholarship and was the number 2 ranked linebacker prospect in the state of Michigan. Brandon decided to stay close to home where he played college football at the University of Michigan. Michigan's track record of success and football environment helped prepare Brandon for the NFL, where he was selected 13th overall by the Philadelphia Eagles. On the show, we discuss Brandon's Achilles injury in year 12 and how training helped him both physically and mentally come back to have a career year. Brandon has had many on-field accomplishments, such as the strip sack on Tom Brady to win the Super Bowl, but believes that his starting his family was the most important to him over the past 15 years. It's my pleasure to introduce Eagles defensive end Brandon Graham to the show. Brandon, welcome.
Oh, man, appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, glad to have you. I know it's been a long time coming. Natural place where a lot of my episodes start off is just to ask how the offseason's been. You're going into year 15. Has it been any different than previous off seasons, or is it relatively the same?
You know what? It's been busier, I would say, because this is my last hoorah, so I want to try to enjoy every little thing I can do. Like I got the Devontae Smith softball game I'm going to. Just came from a Jason Kelsey golf outing. I miss Mike Quicks, but he know that I'm gonna make it up to him and go somewhere else. But I just been doing a lot of stuff, a lot of golf, I would say, and then a lot of just showing up for things because, man, it's the last hoorah. And so as a player, and I just want to make sure I maximize on the off season even more.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be playing a lot of golf after this season, right? So you got to start practicing now. That's good. Has it really hit you that you mentioned Jason Kelsey, that he's retired at this point, or it feels like he's been around the team a lot still?
Yeah, he's still been around, so it didn't hit us all the way, but you don't hear his voice in the huddle like you used to, so it's a little different. But other than that, you know how it is. It's like once you get used to it, you get used to it. But there's somebody that we gonna definitely miss. I know he gonna be around, but it's totally different. Just like even for me, when I'm done, people gonna miss you, but it's just like when stuff move on all the time. So I just appreciate him still being around.
Yeah, and guys look up to you, and that's part of what we're going to get to later here in the episode. But I first want to start off by talking more about training. That's kind of what we do here at 24/8, and I wanted to talk about one trainer in particular that you've worked with for quite some time, it seems like. So Garrett and the Level 40 team, how long have you been working with them throughout your career?
Well, I met Greg back in 20 when Sharif Miller was the first one that introduced me to him. I can't remember if it was 20 whenever Sharif was. I want to say it might have been COVID. After COVID, I had came up there and seen him, and man, first thing from Greg, you're gonna get he gonna joke with you. He got some jokes for you, and it's cool though. Like it's all love, man. It's been all love since I walked in the building. I was always with Dev, but Greg always came in too. I'm an early bird, so Greg always come in like to the middle, to the end of my workout because he ain't getting up that early sometimes. I ain't gonna say he ain't never came, but and early when I came, but he just he prefer. I feel him. He made it to a status where he like, hey, I see you at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's built a great training business. A lot of not only professional athletes, but youth, high school, and collegiate athletes as well. But you are one of the bigger names that he trains, and I'm sure you guys have created some type of bond because you've been going back year after year. But what's it like working with Greg, and then, what has he done to kind of help you and throughout your career?
Well, he take his job serious, and you can tell that he put together a good plan that's based off my needs and what I need to do for the year, and some of my goals that I want to hit. He put the plan together, and I think he got a really good structure on how he does things, and he's a cool person too. I mean, that always helps when you got somebody that can push you, that's real, and on top of that knows what he's doing. Because I mean, I've been around, a lot of people that's working out. I mean, like that, a lot of people that's be in the gym, and a lot of instructors, and just Greg is one of a kind, and you're gonna get you some laughs. On top of that, he gonna get serious with you, so that you can get right. Because sometimes I know for me, I get off. I get off the subject a little bit of what we there for, and just kind of be talking, and then he be like, "Nope, come on, let's get it." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he real good at like keeping it going, keeping the pace going.
Yeah, and that's what you need sometimes is somebody to have that personal side to them and being more than just a trainer. So being able to connect with athletes is a big thing we talk about with our trainers is building that connection and building really that trust, that open line of communication, that even if you're sometimes not in their gym, you're in season, that you still have that open line of communication to seeing what your needs are, how you're feeling. And that goes back to just building that bond with somebody like Greg and Level 40. So do you I know you had an injury a few years ago. What was it like working back from that injury? Was obviously that was a huge hurdle to overcome later in your career. But what was it like working with Greg or any other trainers that you dealt with?
Man, it was really good working with him during that year, because I ended up having my best year coming off that Achilles injury, and we just did a lot of the program of what he put together, a lot of single leg, single arm stuff. I mean, it's a bunch of, I mean, just building that quad, making sure I'm stretching them hamstrings, and just getting that massage. Jess used to take care of me, when she was working there. She in Florida now, but I know that if we had to call her, she'd be there. But making sure that I mean, he just made sure that I was all the way right. And I know I did both. I went to him, and then sometimes I went to the facility because they got a good staff too there with the Eagles, and just checking in, making sure that I do what they asked me to do on top of doing stuff with Greg. So, but Greg definitely helped me. He got my mind right. It was hard, wasn't easy, but that's why. I mean, but I was level 40, baby, by the time it was done.
Yeah, and that's just a testament to one your work ethic first and foremost, but a lot of athletes later in their careers they're not able to bounce back and to what you just said is have a career year coming off an injury like that. So, it speaks volumes to you and the trainers that kind of guided you throughout that process. But something I wanted to ask was, how is training now? You've been training for a long time, even before college days, right? Middle school, high school. You were a top prospect coming out of high school. But how has training changed throughout your career from like a sports science standpoint?
Oh, okay, well, yeah. I was gonna I was gonna be funny because, man, I started off with the old school staff, and I'm ending on the old school staff because we got Vic Fangio, and he's old school boy. Got some old school drills in there. I mean, but I'm all about old school for sure. But the sports science part of it, I think it's all a mindset too. With that, it's more the workload that, I mean, I love that, they track our workload and how much at each position should be able to handle on what it is that we're asked to do out there on the field. Then you got to make sure that you're eating right, because that's another thing. It's all, the nutrition is everything, so that your body can feel good, your body can function, and the machine can go. You got to be putting good stuff in your body, and some days you feeling sluggish, maybe because you might have had a night out, ate the wrong stuff, overweight, all that stuff kind of come into play. I think with social media being so big now, you really can detail a lot of things on why this guy is where he at now, because you see a lot of they regiments on what they do every day, and so I know that's the biggest difference. I feel is more emphasized than it ever has been through social media. All these, people that's throwing out all this sports science stuff, which is cool. I mean, I love to learn about the body and learn about everything that I need to know so they can help me moving forward. But I know that I think with social media being such a big thing, that's why it's more emphasized now than it ever has been, and it's more research on a lot of stuff because we're just getting better in the days. So I would say that it's a good thing, but it's some people that still stuck in them old school ways, and we got one of those right now.
Sometimes that's good to break habits and go revert back to the old school ways. That's
Yes, I
good.
understand. I do understand that part.
It is good. And did you think that, like, with all the sports science stuff, that everything's different from the rookies coming in to people in the middle of the careers, and then you got you towards the end of your career, that maybe it's geared more towards recovery at this stage, like something that you're focusing on more is like the recovery aspect of training. Is that something you put a little more emphasis now in year 15?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You gotta make sure you covering your body because you can definitely burn out. I burnt out one year before where I just felt like, man, I'm doing all this extra, I'm doing all this, but I never took the time to really let my body rest, and I'm always on. And so I didn't realize until my massage therapist was like, man, your body is so rigid and this and that. It's because your adrenaline is just constantly going and you always on. And she ended up giving me these adrenals, this adrenal medicine. It definitely helped, and I could understand exactly what she was saying on like just like how my body, something that you don't even notice until somebody touching on you, like rubbing on you, and you start to see exactly what she was saying, and it's like, dang, my body do that, and it's you just get informed with
Yeah.
people that's just constantly looking for the next thing and researching different things, and when I learned that about myself, I made sure I took breaks because they do matter. Your body need rest because you know how it is. Like you be up out every day doing the same thing over and over, and you getting 3-4 hours of sleep every night, trying to do it again. You think just because you're young, you can do this and that, but everything always catches up to you. And I think that's one of these things now where if you don't get the rest or you don't recover the way you're supposed to, or just let your body recover on recovery days instead of putting in the extra work, sometimes you definitely will burn out, and you ain't doing your body a good service at all.
Yeah, and sometimes it just takes experience to realize that sometimes there's an off switch, and recovery is equally as important as the strength and agility training. And in the NFL, it's a very physical sport, so sometimes the recovery is a huge part of it. Um,
Hmm.
so coming out of high school, right? You were the second ranked linebacker in the state of Michigan. You were the 31st overall prospect on the ESPN 150 list. So you knew pretty early on that you were probably going to be an NFL player. But at what point, middle school, early in high school, did you realize that the NFL was a reality for you?
You know what? Honestly, when I was a little kid, I was just playing the game because I was trying to get into school. I was trying to get a full ride scholarship. But once that started happening, that's when I felt like I had a shot because when my first real big offer was Central Michigan. At first, they used to send a lot of mail, and then Michigan just popped up on the scene after my junior year because I had a really good year coming off. We just lost in the semifinals to Jacksonville McChristie right before the championship in the States. And, I had a great year. And then I remember Lloyd Carr coming up to the school, and they said over the PA, and Brandon Graham come to the office because University of Michigan Lloyd Carr, the head coach, is here to see you. And boy, it just turned the whole school, just everybody coming outside waiting on me to walk through the hallways, and it was such a good moment. And that's when I started to feel like, man, if I can really go to the NFL, if this goes right. And I remember just thinking about, possibilities of, what I could do at Michigan. And if I do it at Michigan, I'm going to definitely get drafted and do this. And so that's when all them thoughts started popping into my head. But as a kid, I just was out there having fun. And my mom used to be like, hey, you got to make sure you get the grades. You got to make sure that you doing what you're supposed to do because I can't pay for college. And I just know that I I seen the light in football, but I did have good grades too. But so it was just one of those. It worked out, and I'm thankful that everything that we talked about kind of came about. I got a full ride scholarship. Um, Once I got to Michigan, that's when I could really see it opening up and being like, yeah, I could really get to the league if I take this thing serious, and that's what I tried to do.
Yeah, you said you started playing because you were just having fun as a kid. Well, it doesn't look like it's changed. It looks like you're always having fun
Oh
between the
yeah.
between the trash talk and everything else, right? You look like you've just haven't changed since you're playing Pee Wee football. But that's great to see that you're still enjoying it in year 15. But Michigan, right? We know they're coming off a national championship. I'm sure you were excited to watch that this past year. Um, that environment, Michigan, it's a well-known school for football, and they have a rich history of football. How did that environment and how did that prepare you at the University of Michigan, their track record of success? How did that prepare you for the NFL?
Well, Michigan has got a big following, and there's so many, great fans at U of M. And, I know for me, just being in that, playing my first couple games in there, it was loud until I really heard loud. Because I say, still to this day, Penn State was the loudest whiteout game, night game against Michigan. That was one of the loudest games I ever been a part of. When we played them, we was number we both was ranked, and Daryl Clark was the quarterback at the time, and man, I just remember not being able to hear the guy next to me while I was on the sideline. We trying to, just talk like we talking about the game, but we just talking, and I had to really yell in his ear like, hey, you know what I'm saying, just so that we can be up close because it would sound like a bark from like it sounded like something I can't explain unless you in it, and but college definitely prepared me, just for the real world of like, fans that's very passionate. Coming to Philly was like perfect for me, even though it was tough because I was on the other side of it where I wasn't the fan favorite. I was just excited, most of the day, just grinning, because I knew I was going somewhere, but just didn't know where, and I'm glad it's Philadelphia. Because I wasn't Earl Thomas, I wasn't Pierre Paul, the guys that they could have got early that had great success early on, and it's kind of crazy to still be here, and both of them guys are done, playing, and it's like, man, just stay the course, and I think the perseverance is what I've learned along the way because I went through some stuff in Michigan too, but nothing like as crazy as this, but it definitely helped me for my moment when I did have to persevere through. I always result back to some of the hard workouts that I had to push through, trying to make it to the league. And like, man, you say you want to be great, but can you go now? Like, you talking, the talk was different back then from, you trying to get there. And then now I'm trying to make sure I stay here. Even though I'm now in 15, I still carry that type of chip on my shoulder, and I think that's always going to stick with me, forever in my life because, I always think somebody trying to take my place.
Yeah, and I think at this point, right, you don't have to worry about somebody trying to take your place. You're trying to coach up the younger guys and help,
Mhm.
you know, let them step into that role and become what you were earlier in your career was just trying to progress to the next phase of your career. Um, you mentioned that there were some other names thrown around in Philly. I'm a Philadelphia fan myself. We can be tough sometimes, and it being here this long. But was it extra motivating to you that maybe you weren't the name that people were expecting in the first round, and then the first couple of years of your career, just trying to prove yourself? Was that extra motivating to you?
Oh yeah, it was motivating. What was tough about it at first was I got hurt, so it was unexpected where I got hurt just when I started to feel like I was getting there, getting to a place of a little comfort of like, man, okay, I know I can play in this league. I've made some good plays, and and then bam, you tear your ACL, and then now here come all the hate. Man, look at Earl Thomas. He all pro first team. He this and that, and then the next year Pierre Paul won the Super Bowl with the Giants. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like wow. And then we could have had him, and then the following year after that, or the next person, Earl Thomas and them win one with Seattle, and then it's just like, wow, I can't catch a break. And then finally, man, year what 8? Boy, we 2017 was year 7. Well, that's let me see, 2010, 11, 12, 1, March, 17. Okay, so yeah, 8 years, 8 years. Yep, year 8. It was my turn, and
Yeah.
that's when everything changed in Philly. Everything turned around for the good, and man, I ain't looked back since.
You cemented yourself as a legend in Philadelphia, helping seal that game and bring Philadelphia the first Super Bowl in their history. I know you've gotten asked this question a million times, but what was it like for the strip sack of Tom Brady sealing that win for the Super Bowl? It's something you hear about all the time, right? But what did it mean to you to be able to contribute in that way after being here so long?
Man, it meant so much for me, the city of Philly, my family. I mean, it was so much ups and downs in my career. Never made it to the end of the game. Never made it to the championship at all. In my career, I always got cut short somewhere. If it was the semifinals or we made it in the third round of the playoffs, right before the semifinals, but never won the championship up to that point. The big one, the last game of the season. Never even got there until I finally got there to play the Patriots, and I made it to the Super Bowl, man. And then to make that play against a former Michigan player that everybody know as the GOAT, just see him win one against Atlanta the year before, being down as much as they was down, and man, I couldn't have, it couldn't have it couldn't have been written out better on how everything happened, because Philly was in dire need of a championship. I was in a dire need of a championship and a turnaround as a player. And that was a crazy year too. I was playing good, 9.5 sacks that year. Still didn't get double digits yet, but I finally did after I got hurt from the Achilles. But we talked about that. I had my best year coming off that. But man, to make it all the way to the championship against Brady and beat Brady, nobody can take that one away, because they can't say that you went and you played this person that. No, we played the man, and we played Belichick, both of them. That was dogging people. All 10 appearances, 6 wins, 6 rings. You know what I'm saying? I think it's 7 now for him because he
Yep.
had one in Tampa. But man, I got much respect for Brady and what he did, and I'm just happy to be a part of his legacy on like the ups and downs of his career.
Yeah, I think that's something a lot of people miss is that was a Michigan on Michigan play,
Mhm.
which I'm sure you've mentioned to him in passing since the play has happened. But you're right. To be the best, you got to beat the best, and they were the status quo of the NFL for it seemed like a decade and a half, 2 decades. So to finally break through and bring that championship to the city, you have cemented yourself in the city of Philadelphia as a legend in Eagle circles. One thing I did want to go back to, starting off at the beginning of your career, was there a certain player who you looked up to as a mentor or role model, or was there a group of players early in your career that kind of helped guide you along?
Oh well, the people with the team, it was JP and Trent Cole. Sorry. Yeah, JP and Trent Cole was two of the guys that, I started off with. I mean, I was always talking stuff to JP, even though I didn't go against him as much, because it was always him and Trent. But I always admired to see them boys working together, like working, and it just grew into something because we all started hanging out, doing stuff together, and them boys really, showed me the ropes. They really helped me make my transition, especially during the hard times of like, me getting hurt, coming off injuries, hearing people put that bus label on me, and then they always told me, hey man, do something about it. There's no sense of crying about it. Let's go do something. And so now, even now, practice, boy, that's like my game. So I gotta let it be known. This like my games. I'm out here trying to defeat you to let you know. And it's just a game that you gotta play because you gotta take your mind to that level of where you gotta go. Cause in this game, man, it ain't for the weak. It definitely ain't for the weak, and the game will find you if you're not supposed to be here. I'm telling you, because
Yeah.
you can't cheat the game. I'm telling you, you can't cheat the game, man. I know for me, I try to give it this proper respect by making sure that I'm at least giving it 110%. I'm not gonna make every play, but for the most part, I'm gonna try to make sure I'm eating the best way I can, trying to work out the best way I can, trying to motivate these boys the best way I can. On top of that, while still trying to perform at a high level for the team. But man, I'm so thankful, to still be rocking. But I know for me, it's all about serving these young boys and making sure that I return the favor like Trent and JP did for me.
Yeah. And I know Philly's a tough place to play and in a tough fan base. But the one thing that Philadelphia will kind of back up their players on and get behind them, if we see players giving 110% every single play, we understand not every play is going to be made, but we can respect the hustle and, that determination to just keep going year after year and play after play. Um, at the beginning of your career, you obviously had, a little bit of a turbulent time with the injury and being a first round pick and everything that went along with that. But what does it mean to you to be the longest tenured Philadelphia sports player, not just Eagle, but the Philadelphia sports player? You're the longest tenured Philadelphia sports player that's still active. What does that mean to you when somebody tells you that?
It means a lot. It means a lot, man. Because like I told you, some of the guys that they wanted early on, them guys are no longer in the league right now. And then for me to still be here after all the adversity I went through in the beginning, as much as I wanted to go bet on myself somewhere else, I stuck through it. I stuck through the pain, and it ended up becoming more than I ever expected. And man, even now I still kind of sit back and be like, man, how? Like, and I know how, God definitely had his hands on me and, guided me through a lot of storms. But I know for me, now it's about me serving these boys now and allowing somebody else to hopefully be the longest tenured Eagle or athlete, in Philadelphia. And I hope that they started with us. And I hope like just guys that's listening to me, just want to be better. Just keep being a better version of yourself every day. You know what you struggle with. I know what I struggle with, but I feel like I'm getting 1% better every day. Because in the moments where I normally cave in on certain stuff I'm struggling with, I'm being a lot stronger because I know I'm trying to help myself and better myself. And that's all I try to help these boys on now is realizing like, yeah, you might be young, but if you start early, man, I'm telling you, like just stay disciplined on things that you need to stay disciplined on because now you're getting money. You a lot of people are in your face. A lot of people want things from you at this level, and it's so many distractions that you can get really caught up in a lot of different things if you're not careful. So just stay aware, stay right, and get you a girl because most of the time, man, when I got my wife, everything changed for sure with my life. It got more structured. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, it's still gonna be a battle. But at least I'm not out there like I used to be, where I'm running into people I shouldn't be, even associating myself with. But that's just part of it. And but she protect me. That's what I always tell her. It's like you really protect me because now I can say, oh no, no, I gotta go home. Wifey got something for me or whatever it is. It don't even matter. It's just like I got me an excuse to get out.
Yeah, sometimes you need that, right?
Oh yeah, you need it. You need it for
Sometimes you
real.
need that in your back pocket. Uh, just as we start to kind of wrap up here, I wanted to ask you. We've talked a lot about your training and your playing career, but off the field, you've done a lot too. So, recently, you've gotten an award as the most valuable Philadelphian. You have for community service, you have an organization called Team Graham. You and your wife. where you give back to not only Philadelphia, but your hometown of Detroit. And you've done a lot of good there as well. And you've gotten from St. Joe's recently, you got honorary degrees for that service, which was a big accomplishment, I'm
Man,
assuming, for you. You've also started a family during your current playing career. So, there's philanthropic things that you've done, and then there's education and family. But what would you say is your biggest off the field accomplishment in your time here?
you know what? The time I get to spend with my family, my because baby girl, baby boy, every time I walk through that door, it's like daddy this, daddy that. I'm shocked right now that they ain't running in here because I told them I got a little interview that I got to do, and I'm like, give me a little second, I'll be up there, and normally they be right by the door. What you talking about? Or just all about me. I think for me, I'm a thrill seeker, so taking the kids to like amusement parks and doing like fun stuff that always makes my off season because normally during the season I'm doing stuff, we traveling, we doing all this stuff, and I still make the time for the kids, despite all the stuff, but I really be intentional during the off season to make sure that I'm spending that time that I missed, that I wasn't able to, be at certain stuff, and now, I mean, man, it's full time dad. I could be the stay at home dad for real. I'm taking them to everything, all they extracurriculars and all that stuff. Like man, gymnastics to softball, baseball, soccer. I mean, it's a lot of fun, man. So I would say that's the most thing I'm most proud of is the time that I get to spend with them. Cause man, that time you can't get back, and they growing too fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of led me into my next question, which is what are your goals after your playing career? Do you have anything in mind? Is it just spending more time with family? Is it starting another business venture, staying around the team? Whatever it is, what do you have any early thoughts, or is it too early to know just yet?
Well, I got a lot of options. I ain't gonna lie, that I'm thankful for, and I just what's I've had this talk with my wife. Whatever is real, we will really have a conversation about. But right now, I got a bunch of different offers, that came my way from radio to, being on camera, media stuff. Then, of course, me and Howie got a plan on what do you think I should do for the organization when I'm done. I mean, they just threw out ambassador for the Eagles. That could be a possibility. It's just so much that's out there. It's like really, I wanna try it all honestly to see what I really love, see what stick. I'm not really setting myself up to say I'm just only doing this. It's like nah, I'm honestly intrigued on what's gonna catch my eye outside of the game. Because it's easy. I am gonna work with the team. We're gonna find some type of way I can be associated with the team, like how Kelsey is too. Same thing, but then still be able to move around and have different options on some stuff that I might not know that I love to do too. So we gonna see. I'm just more so now just taking it all in. Like I told you, going on all these different going to these events, meeting people, building that Rolodex, keep building it up, and making sure that when I'm done, I'm at least connected where I can move around in a good way in the city of Philly.
That's awesome to hear. You have a ton of options and doors have opened and they'll continue to open as you go through this year and into next year and transition from your playing career. And to wrap up here, one question I like to ask, whether it's a trainer or athlete, answers kind of vary all over the place. But looking back, right from the beginning of your career, could be at the NFL career or from your youth football days. Um, is there anything that you would advice wise give to yourself starting out, and would you change anything about your journey?
I wouldn't change anything about my journey. If anything, now I mean I'm in my book. I'm in the Word every day, and if I would have to say, I would start it off like that, just because I know God is leading it all. So that's my biggest thing. If I had to say, I would have started way earlier than I did now. But I'm glad it's never over and it's never too late.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Is just looking for the future, and you've kind of reflected on your past, and just known that you wouldn't have changed anything about your journey, because every step of the way has kind of created the person you are today. All the adversity to all the successes, and all of that kind of all in has created where you are in year 15, longest tenured athlete, all the accolades, and a city of Philadelphia that has truly embraced you. So once again, defensive end Brandon Graham, it was great to have you on the show, hear your story. We'll be following you through the final season here with the Eagles. I know you're going to have a great year teaching a lot of the younger guys, and we'll see how it goes. Maybe another Super Bowl in the near future.
Oh yeah, man, and like you said, everything was. I mean, I wouldn't have changed nothing because it got us to this point right here. We on this call. All this stuff led us to this moment. Everything that happened in my life led me to this moment, and whatever moment come after this, it's just, man, you got to enjoy that journey, because what's happening right now is happening, and it's like, what you gonna do about it? If it's good or bad, I mean, it don't matter. But everything always show up where it's like, wow, if this didn't happen and that was my worst, I would have never made it to this good right here. Or, man, this is so good. I mean, it got worse for a second, but then it got back good. Like, stuff will just tell you, like, it's trendy in your life. Like, your life is going to be up and down, good and bad, show up. But it's just how you control those emotions in that moment, your perspective of it. What's really bad to you might not be really bad to everybody else. So you know that it's all about perspective. So it's just about controlling yourself, enjoying what comes your way, and what you can learn from certain failures that you might think is not the best, or something that you didn't want to have to go through, but you're going through it. So now you got a testimony for somebody else, and it's how you look at it. So I'm thankful, man. Like you said, just to still be here, still gaining that knowledge, man. Still trying to learn every day, and I'm hoping that I can rub off on these young boys to help them in their future.
That's great. Yeah. Always wanting to learn is something that is going to be motivating to you and the younger guys, and perspective is key, right? Your perspective has changed, but kind of that engine behind what motivated you from the start seems to still be there in year 15. So once again, Brandon Graham, wonderful to have you on the show. Appreciate you cutting out the time.
Man, appreciate you.